All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I know Sunday's not the best day for these presentations, but I have an absolute ton of stuff to show you guys. In fact, I'm just going to be racing through it, unfortunately, because I practiced all this at home, and it was going to take like an hour and a half to show everything I wanted to show. So I'm going to cram it all down into 45 minutes so we have time for questions. So, yeah, I'm just going to get started. So first thing I wanted to show you guys, I'm sure everybody here is already familiar with the Commander, so I probably don't need to tell you about the machine, but I'm going to tell you about some of the new hardware products we got. This, I know you probably can't say it very well, is our MIDI card, and actually it's two cards. So this is a regular MIDI card. It has input and output, just like you'd expect from a MIDI card, but it also has a wavetable header on here, and this is compatible with the same kind of header you would have had like on a Sound Blaster back in the day, where you could plug in like Roland MT32 cards or other types of wavetable cards. And we actually have a little wavetable card ourselves. This is actually using the, it's a Dream, what is it?
It's a SAM 2695. It's a Dream chip. It's actually one of the few chips like that that's still in production today. So,
yeah, and it's a full like ROM sampler MIDI card all in one little chip. So we're going to stick that on there.
and also, just while he's showing that, I do have an external port on that card to actually break out two MIDI in and MIDI outputs on it. And I'll show that here in a little bit once we get past this demo. But there's also a way to plug in. There's two jacks on the back where you can get just individual 3-pin TRS MIDI output jacks if you don't need all four of them here. So,
all right, so the first thing I'm going to show you is Melodious. This was written by Troy, who's in the audience somewhere here. Okay. Oh, there he is right there in the front. This program plays ZSM files initially, which was kind of like our own proprietary sound tracker format, for lack of a better term.
Like a VGM file, something like that.
Yeah, but he eventually added MIDI support to it as well. And hang on, what port did you say?
C8, I think.
C8, okay.
Oh, wait, go back, his space.
No, I didn't want to put it on yet.
Okay.
Okay, so what I wanted to do is I've got a bunch of music on here, and I wish I had time to play you like 10 of these songs, but so I was going to play, it's under movie themes, I was going to play Mission Impossible, mostly because a lot of these songs, while they sound really awesome, they have really like long intros, and we don't have a lot of time, so I wanted something that starts off pretty quick. So I wanted to play this Mission Impossible theme, and I'm going to play it on the internal Yamaha chip, and it's going to sound a lot like playing a MIDI file on an ad-lib card. You're not going to be impressed by this. I'm only playing this for a comparison purposes. So this is Mission Impossible as a MIDI file being played on the Yamaha chip. I'm going to let it go about 30 seconds here.
Better than I remember.
Okay, I think you got the idea. Now what I'm going to do is switch it over to playing on the little synthesizer on our MIDI card. And by the way, we have audio channels running through the bus, so just by simply plugging this card in, it can pump audio into the main mixer without any kind of cables or anything like that. So just by adding this card in, we can now do this. So I'm going to replay the song, and we'll see if it sounds any better.
It's very echoey.
So anyway, you get the idea. Sounds quite a bit better.
And if you already own a Commander, these will be for sale in probably a few weeks, the actual MIDI card. And there's other software that's being worked on as well, like a Dream Tracker. And I guess this would probably be a good time to show the wavetable portion of it.
Well, I'm going to show that in just a second. I was going to show one more little song. Okay. This one is, I know it's not Christmas time, but this song is also very good at showing off a lot of different instruments very quickly. And this is a little bit more instrumental song. And this will give you just maybe a little bit different idea of some of the capabilities of the card. So at some point, when I'm listening to some of these songs, like I've got Star Trek on here, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, all these songs. At some point, I can be listening to these and forget that I'm not listening to the real thing. It's actually pretty amazing to think this is coming from our little 8-bit computer. So all right, so Kevin wanted to show. So you're going to be asking, okay, you got yourself a MIDI jukebox. What else can you do with that? Okay, so what was the name of the program you did?
It's just WT.
This one here.
So what this is a program that one of the guys on our team wrote named Tim Soderstrom. He is working on a Dream Tracker, and he's also working on a few other pieces of software, with Dream Tracker just being like a tracker program, so you can actually do sequencing and go in and retro music. But he's been helping me develop the hardware a little bit, and I had him write this program just to show that we can actually use it as a MIDI synthesizer now as well. So I've got it plugged into the external breakout through a MIDI input, and it's playing the wavetable as an output. So this is just a cheapy MIDI controller I've had for over 20 years, and David hates it. But I'm going to make him play something now because he wants to so badly.
Oh.
What are you going to play? 8-bit keys time, everyone.
I guess I can play that. I don't remember what the track number was. I was just going through these earlier while we were at my booth. Staccato. Synth voice? No, that wasn't what it was. Synth brass.
There was some kid playing Space Quest on it a minute ago, and it sounded perfect.
Oh yeah, here we go.
We noted on something. Oh, here are. Sometimes MIDI.
All right. He insists I play something, so. What? I put it back to piano.
Oh crap! My bad. I didn't know actually reset it. My bad.
All right. Well, can I hold it down? Oh, it's a little faster. I don't remember what it was. It was like 60 something. I was not planning on playing anything, so. All right, there we go. Good enough. All right.
I'm just going to change the channel. So it's just like general MIDI. It has all the general MIDI instruments on there, so I just put it on channel 10, so it's doing the drum track. So you could use it to play pretty much every general MIDI file you already have as well through Melodious, but I think down the road you're going to start to see a lot more software that makes use of this. And of course...
Right, so actually I have a ton of games I'm going to show you later, but I'm going to show you this one now because I've added MIDI support to it. So this is kind of another thing that we're going to be using this card for, is just another option. So we have regular Pesky Robots that uses the Yamaha chip, and then I have made a special version here that uses the MIDI card. And it still uses, and of course it's going to detect the sound card automatically. I did add that, thankfully. And it's going to ask if you want to use external MIDI or the wavetable. Obviously, we're going to use the wavetable.
And you could plug in like any other general MIDI type of any MIDI really, but into the output.
So we're going to use the wavetable. And this is Anders Jensen's full Pesky Robots soundtrack that he did. And there's actually 16 unique songs here, one for the title. And then every level has its own music that goes with it. And I'm going to use the cheat code right quick because, again, we're in a hurry. We don't have a whole lot of time. I just wanted you to hear how the sound effects mixed with the MIDI music. So, So, yeah, I mean, this basically becomes an alternate kind of sound card for the computer, basically. You can... and by the way, you've probably heard this song. I use it a lot in my YouTube videos. This is like when I'm like scrubbing computers and stuff like that, This is the song you hear. So anyway, this is another option that we can use the MIDI card for. So
that's very cool.
All right, I think we've covered that. Right?
Yeah, we did to death.
All right.
Here, I'll get it.
The next card I want to show you. This is like the 5th iteration of this card. I think we've finally got it.
Yes.
Finally got it fixed. So we're calling this the serial. Actually, this one says network card on it. Okay. Serial network card. So basically what it is, in a nutshell, we've got a 16550 UART. Same kind of UART you would have had back in the 90s on your regular PC, which has two serial ports, port A and a port B. The port B is going to this 9-pin serial port on the front that just works exactly like you would imagine. You can plug any kind of 9-pin serial device into that. Port A actually is going something far more interesting. We've got a little ESP32 Wi-Fi module here, which is running Bo Zimmerman's Zy-Modem software, which basically emulates a modem through the internet. So you can address it with AT commands, and you can call BBSs and stuff like that. So I'm going to plug that in, and we're going to boot up. And one of the things I spent half this year writing is ROM term. So this is a terminal program. Okay, good. Wait a minute. Okay.
Is it set to 6?
I think it's set to the same one our MIDI card was set to.
Okay.
That's fine. They're not in there at the same time,
Right.
so it's fine. Yeah, so it is auto-detected to serial ports. You can see they're highlighted there, and you can pick the baud rate you want and which serial port you want to use. We're going to use 9FCO, the first one being the ESP module. And unfortunately, there's no Wi-Fi here. So... So I would love to show connecting to a BBS, but I do have an alternative thing. One of the things that this terminal program does, let me tell you a little bit about it right quick, by the way. So it does support ASCII, Commodore graphics, and you can do 40 columns or 80 columns, and then you can do, like I said, ASCII, this is Commodore color graphics, or ANSI color graphics. ANSI was a complete and total pain in the rear to get working, but it actually works pretty well now. But I also added a capture feature into the terminal. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to tell it I want to replay. I believe I called it ANSI test. Yeah, there we go. This is me. I'm sorry. I can hold down control to pause it, but it just flies through this recording that I took. But this is an example of what it looks like logging into a BBS. And by the way, it runs very fast. It runs at 115,200 baud. So, I mean, the speed that it's replaying here is almost the same speed that you would see in real time connecting to one of these BBSs. So here's just an example of me going through, using some ANSI type like menus and stuff like that. And here's just playing back some ANSI text files. At some point I pull up some ANSI artwork here. Here's an ANSI game. It's like a Lemmings game that actually uses ANSI stuff. And so this is just an example of how well the ANSI, how compatible it is, because I've got it to where it pretty much works on anything. So
Yeah, as far as I know, the Commodore 128 is the only other machine that would do something like this, right?
the Amiga and
the Amiga as well. I forgot about that one. But
so yeah, there's that, and then I'm going to switch over to 40 columns, go to CBM mode, and I'm going to do another replay, and I believe it was CBM test. Yeah, and this is calling a Commodore BBS. Oh, darn it, it's so fast. I should have put some better delay in there. I was hoping we would have Wi-Fi. Jim?
it's not his fault.
Yeah, I know.
This building is a Faraday cage, more or less, by the way. It feels like it.
All right, so yeah. This is calling Bo Zimmerman's BBS, and I did one of these Commodore artworks, and yeah, I don't know if anybody you remember logging in and seeing this on a Commodore BBS. I used to see this when I was a kid. When you go to page the sysop, and you get this little not ANSI art, Petsky art. So
yeah, when I was a kid, that was SciSop. I don't know what I thought that word meant, but that's always what I said.
I said that some too. So yeah, here's some other Petsky artworks I had captured. So anyway, point is, we actually have our own BBS now too. It runs on Synchronet. It actually runs in the cloud, so it's not like a BBS that's in like someone's basement or something. It's actually it's a multi-node. I think it handled like 64 inbound callers, and it's got chat rooms and all that stuff. We haven't done much with it yet, but hoping to improve that a lot over the course of the next few months. And so there'll kind of be like an online community for X16 users to actually like call in and do stuff. So
yeah.
And eventually, one of the other goals of this is to be able to play multiplayer online games, which unfortunately I have nothing to demonstrate for you on that today. But just imagine Planet X16 or something with being able to play, another player in a remote locations. So.
That's part of the plans long term for Synchronet, is to build some more environment in there to where we can, create multiplayer game ability and other things like that. Anything you guys are interested in seeing in there, let us know, because we're really trying to figure out what that online space is going to look like and what would be useful for people if they're using the Commander. I know there's a lot of people that don't like to connect to things online because they're like, oh, I have every game ever and I have all this. So really looking for something that is more compelling, to a reason to be out there. And I think this machine, just since it natively can connect to the internet so easily now, it's going to be a lot more approachable than some of the older hardware. All right, so I'm going to just blow through this one other piece of hardware I built real quickly. And as I mentioned, we were in a Faraday cage. This is something I kind of built as a proof of concept. It's actually running an I2C IC that works as an AM/FM receiver. It does shortwave as well too. There's a lot of prepper talk about having a machine that they can put out and still play games on and not need to connect to the internet. And I thought, well, I'll have a radio for it. The bus has I2C as well, so it's another reason I wanted to run this, was just to test this card. Now, unfortunately, we came in here last night, and I thought, I'm pretty close to Chicago. We should be able to get great signal. I get nothing on this radio at all in this building. But my wife spent a long time writing graphics for the program, so I have to show it. I'm not certain yet if I'm going to release this card, but we'll give it a shot here and just see if I can get it to show anything. Maybe today's better. I got to stand up and orient the antenna.
Oops. Help if I can type.
Jim, what station was WG? 720. Okay.
All right. So
she was going crazy with the pesky editor. All right, I got to show this to you. She made multiple skins. There's the wood grain one right there, for pellet. And so, anyway, just go ahead and press A. Let's see if anything happens. I go to. Oh wait, one more thing. It's E. I put Dallas and Chicago playlist in here.
What?
So 720.
720. Oops.
And this is supposed to be WGN. Their tower is 3 miles away. Get a little. Yeah. Okay. So.
So the neat thing about this card is, again, because the audio runs through the bus, you can literally just plug this in and it mixes with the audio of the Commander. And even if you had the MIDI card in there too, all these things can produce audio, and it's all going to come out of the one jack on the back. So if you have a TV hooked up, it's going to come out of your TV or whatever. So.
Not 100% sure if I'm actually ever going to sell this card. So if anybody really wants one, let me know. I'm just still kind of playing around with it, but it works better in my house than in this room, I'll tell you that.
All right. Now we're going to blow through some apps very quickly, because we got a lot of new programs to show. I'm going to start with this one. It's called File Manager. And by the way, when I say we, I don't always want to take credit, because a lot of other people write this stuff. When I say we, I'm referring mostly to the Commander X16 community of which a lot of these are actually people that are in here right now. If it's something I wrote, I'm going to tell you I wrote it. But yeah, if I say we, I'm not trying to take credit for somebody else. But anyway, so yeah, we have a file manager now. It's very similar to Norton Commander, or if you're a Unix guy, like Midnight Commander or whatever. You can scroll between. You can copy files, rename files, move things around. Very handy. Not really a whole lot to show you on that. Just wanted you to know we had it. Now I'm going to show you some games. And we have a bunch. Now, I'm not going to show you all the games that I've already shown, because there's 30 of them already. These are only new games, because if I tried to show all of them, we'd be here all day. So this is just new stuff that's come out in the last 6 months or so. I'm just probably going to go through these in order, just so I won't forget anything. X16 Maze. Okay, we got auto boot on that one, so we'll just do that. This is not a particularly fancy game. In fact, it actually runs in text mode, but it's actually surprisingly fun. It's I don't even know how to explain this. So there is supposed to be a soundtrack. Oh, I hear it now. Never mind. Jim didn't have that. So yeah, the way this works is you have to fill in all the shapes, but you can't move freely like you might think you could just looking at it. You can, for example, there's no way I can go down on that middle. I can't go up here, right? I can only go left or right. So you have to try to figure out what path to take to complete. And some of these are easy like this, but some of them are actually really challenging. You'll find yourself like, how the heck do you get, to the spot you want? So that's X16 Maze. Oops. All right, what do we got next? Manic Miner. Here, I can load that. That's not a folder. So this is almost a direct clone of the Manic Miner on the Sinclair Spectrum. There's only one difference you'll see, which is the sprites have been upgraded for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I kind of feel like the miner guy looks like Donald Trump. I don't know why, but anyway, yeah, the sprites are changed, but all the tile graphics look the same, music's exactly the same. And I did not grow up playing this game, and so when I started playing it a few weeks ago, I realized it is insanely difficult. I know I'm actually making it look easy. It took me like 30 minutes just to get past this first level because I just kept dying so much. But yeah, anyway, so if you're a fan of the Spectrum, then you got Manic Miner now.
All 8 colors. That's right.
So, moving on. Let's see. Next is UFO. So this is a game I've been writing, and I started this earlier this year after going to Roswell, and it kind of inspired me. It is just a proof of concept stage at this point. This is my title screen. So go to the next screen here. This is your boss. His name is Glagnar. His first instruction is to tell you to bring him 10 Earthlings. And so you are in charge of flying the flying saucer. It's parallax scrolling. It has a little bit of physics to it, so if you try to turn around, you got to wait for it to slow down. You can go up and down. And of course, you've got your abduction beam. Like I said, these characters aren't doing anything right now. They're eventually going to be walking around doing stuff, but yeah, so you can abduct one of them if you want. We've got some pretty cool theremin music that comes in on this. So yeah, you got your cow here. You can abduct your cow. You can drop him if you want. If you drop them, this applies to the humans as well. If you drop them from too high, they splat. I don't have any sound effects yet, but yeah, I want the cow to be going moo when you abduct him or whatever. So, that's it. As you collect, that number up there on the top left is just temporary, so I know where you're at on the map for programming purposes. But eventually it'll show all the things you've abducted up there. The rest of the map is pretty much empty at this point. There's not much out there, as you can see. So anyway, very early stages, but I just wanted to show it to you. I think it's going to be a pretty fun game. Definitely something different.
I think can you move while you're picking them up? Is that what you said? Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, when you've got the beam will, if you're running the beam and you try to move, yeah, you can't move.
There's also going to be things shooting at you later, so.
All right, so that's UFO. Let's see what's next. All right, Time Pilot. Let's see. This is another one of those games we probably won't be able to distribute with the computer because it's kind of intellectual property infringement, but I can certainly show it to you here. This is just basically a exact port of the original arcade game Time Pilot. Oops, what did I don't know what I clicked. Yeah, I should have hooked up the controller and I didn't. Anyway, you get the idea. And probably most of you played Time Pilot at some point. Although we don't have one of these for arcade yet. Anyway.
Now you do.
So that's Time Pilot. Like I said, I've got to blow through these pretty quick because we got a bunch. All right. Mine Rescue. Did any of you guys ever play the game Hero on any of the old 8-bit systems? Oops. This is very similar to Hero, but it's kind of been reimagined a little bit. So it's kind of a little bit more wider shot. Darn it, I'm always pushing the wrong button to start with. Okay, here we go. So, all right, yeah, well, all right. So yeah, I'm gonna put my dynamite here, run away. Got yellow bat. Actually, getting through the first level doesn't actually take very long if I would quit dying. So, yep, and there's our miner. So there you go. And you move on to the next level. Obviously, they get a little bit more complex as they go along. But yeah, that's mine rescue. All right, games. What have we got next? Old robots. Yeah, this is more of just a fun experiment I had. It's actually Petsky Robots, but I thought it would be funny to just do it so that you can pick this is the character mode version of it, and so if you want to see what it looks like on the PET or the Atari or the VIC-20 or the C64 or whatever, you can just pick one stuff. Like I picked PET. It's just the PET version of the game. Nothing really here you guys hadn't seen before, other than just it's kind of neat to be able to play the PET version on the Commander. So anyway, moving along. Oops, I must have turned caps lock on. All right, what's next? Othello, or however you pronounce that. Alrighty. So this can be played with keyboard or mouse, and I'm actually not very good at this game, but I mean, it's a really nice implementation. It's got music and sound effects, and you can, like I said, you can also use the keyboard and just do it that way. If I can figure out what the keys were, I forgot. Anyway, get the idea. Most of you are familiar with the game, probably. So it's got some pretty cool music. All right. Like I said, I apologize for blowing through all of these. It's just, like I said, there's a bunch.
A lot of these you can actually, if you have a Commander, if you want to play with the emulator, you can play a lot of these right now. They're available.
I'm going to skip robots because we already showed that earlier. And this is Scumbotron. This can also be played with a keyboard or a mouse. It's very similar to Robotron. You can use the mouse if you want, and use the WASD to walk around. So, yeah, if you've ever played Robotron, it's, pretty similar to that. So there you go. That's Scumbotron. Karn. Actually, the author of this is probably somewhere in here. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
And this is also a very early concept, but I've been talking to him, and I'm really excited about where he's going to be taking this. So at first, this is going to look like a, your standard 3D platformer. It's got some really good animation on the sprites. But what you have to kind of almost look for is the 3D effect, which I was really impressed when I first saw. So if you look at the platforms, they change perspective as you move around, which I thought was pretty cool. So if you want to crawl under this, you can push down twice. You can crawl under. There you go. There's not a lot to do yet in the game. That's yet to come. I know he spent quite a bit of time working on the game engine and the map editor and whatnot. I know how that goes. So anyway, that's Karn. Wish I had more time to show you more on that, but
very cool game.
Let's see. Oops. What do we got next? KG3D. Now, I have shown this before, but it has changed a lot since probably you've seen it last, so I'm going to show it again. Here we go. So this is a very Doom-like game. And he's got sprites and stuff working now. There's not a lot of interactivity yet. You can't shoot anything. You can move some stuff around, which I'll show you here in a minute. But mostly I just wanted to walk around and show you some of the changes that have been made, which is mostly the addition of sprites. There's a portal here we can go through. And This does an interesting job of showing like some of the shading effects and stuff. For example, you've got your little burning torch in there, and you can see in the hallway how it lights up, and you got staircases and stuff. This is way more complex than like Wolfenstein 3D. This is far more on the level of like Doom as far as the graphics engine. Here's a little column you can push around just for proof of concept. Although I think I pushed it down the hole. Let's see, here's another little area you can go into, kind of an outdoor area. You can see some sky. The trees, these are sprites, so this is something that was kind of added recently. And you can see the frame rate is surprisingly good. Now, this does run in a fairly chunky resolution of 160 by 120, and that's one of the ways that we get the frame rate we do. There's like a lava pit or something, and you can... how do you do that? You can stoop down at some... I forgot what key it is. I don't have the controller hooked up. Anyway... Point is, so there's KG3D. We're very excited to see where this is going. I think it's going to be a pretty cool game when it's finished. Something a lot of people definitely wouldn't think you could do on a 6502. And what's next? Asteroids. This is another one we probably won't be able to distribute with the machine. This is a fairly good kind of vector-looking clone of the original Asteroids, and let me guess, rats. I don't have the controller hooked up, and I can't figure out what keys do anything. Oh, come on, surely I can...
Control, Alt.
I tried all of those. Maybe I have to have the controller. All right, well, anyway, there's Asteroids.
This is how you die in Asteroids.
All right, what do we got left? Crazy Frog.
That's what's cool.
All right, hope if I can type. All right. So this is, as you can imagine, a Frogger clone, but it is a little different. He has added some stuff, I think, that as later on and as you progress in the levels, that's not in the original Frogger, if I remember correctly. But anyway, you get the idea. If you like Frogger, you'll like Crazy Frog. All right, what do we got next? Dungeon. This is rats. Can I do boot on that? Okay, good. This is very similar to Gauntlet. Now, if I can figure out what button. All right, so I need to select Okay, Ranger, I guess is fine. I don't know. Start.
Can you survive?
So here we go, and I am no good at Gauntlet, or Dungeon, Warlock's Dungeon, whatever you want to call it. I'm not any good at playing it, but I'll warn you that. So there you go. So that's Warlock's Dungeon. All right.
I think that one has great future multiplayer capability or potential right here.
And then definitely not going to spend a lot of time here, but what we have is a lot of text adventures, and these are mostly Infocom games. There's actually a lot more of them than this. I didn't put them all on here. But yeah, I forgot the guy's name, but he created a Z machine. And for those that don't know, all those Infocom games basically ran on a virtual machine. So once you've created the virtual machine, you can run all of the Infocom games. And so I have quite a bit of them here. I'm not sure which, I guess Zork's one of the more popular ones, but just to show you what it looks like. Not that there's,
Osmu. That's what it was.
It looks really good because it uses the most powerful graphics engine of all, the imagination.
I do know that this particular interpreter, though, has some advanced features. I don't know if anyone's done that to Zork or any of the other games, but there are capabilities in Osmu to add graphics and sounds to these games. So there are some out there, I think, that have that, too. I don't know Have any of those been compiled for the Commander? I meant
I
to
don't
ask you
think
about
so.
that. Okay.
But in
I'd like to
theory,
see that.
it could be.
Yeah.
And you can load and save your games and all that. It's fully functional. So we want to play the old Infocom games. Pretty much they're all available now. So. And there's been a lot of games that have also been written for the Z Machine that were not, even just like homebrews and stuff, so you can play all those as well. So there's that. And what time is it? Yeah, we're about at that time. Okay. So as Steve Jobs would say, we have one more thing that we want to show. So this is a demo written by our good man Troy, sitting right up here in the front, and another person who I don't believe is here. Many of you are going to be familiar with this. This demo has only ever been ported to, I think, 2 other systems, and neither of those ports live up to this. This is not streaming from the SD card, because I know some people will probably accuse us of that. This is, in other words, we could probably replay this frame by frame from the SD card, but that's not what's happening here. This is real demo, really running on the 6502. Troy added this neat little PC BIOS thing to the beginning, which I thought was pretty cool. The music has been, the original music on this demo for MS-DOS was a mod tracker. This has been redone as Yamaha music with some samples added in, so it sounds remarkably similar to the music that you would have heard in the original demo, but you will be able to tell it is a little bit different. It's been completely redone, which was no small task, I'm sure. And now I'm going to shut up and let you guys watch this. Oh, and while you're watching this, there's been some people that have complained when I said that the Commander X16 was probably as fast as a 286 computer, saying there was no way that's possible. This demo originally ran on a 486, just so you know. I want everybody to give this man a hand.
Yeah.
With this.
Excellent work, Troy. Excellent. And Jeffrey, too. So I'm guessing Troy will make that available to the world now. He's been sitting on it for a week or two, so I think it's time for it to go now.
All right. Well, I guess we got just a few minutes for some questions now. Let's see, what time is it? Yeah, we got about 10 minutes.
Hi, I've got a question about the demo. How did you adapt the, I assume, assembly code from X86 over to the Commander X16? How big of a pain in the butt was it? You know?
It's kind of a short answer or a short question with a lot of answer. Because it really depended on which part of the demo it was. Some of them were just like visually similar, so they're just complete recreations, and some were actual disassemblies of the original, or the assembly was available, but recreations, reverse engineered versions of the original, often including writing some Python code to convert some of the formats.
Hi. So with the MIDI card, could you be able to do play MIDI, in theory, be able to play MIDI files along with like the 2151 and the Vera sound channels?
We don't have any software that does that currently that I know of, but in theory, there's absolutely no reason you couldn't.
I mean, in a sense, Robots does that because you're having sound effects play back with the 2151 while it's playing the soundtrack. So yeah, you could certainly, eventually once we get a better sequencer, that's kind of part of the idea that I had behind this machine is that I want to put every sound chip known to man in here. I've actually built an OPL3 card that we've never done anything with, and it worked more or less. And there's several other chips that we could use, including the MIDI chip itself. The SAM2695 will actually work on the bus. It doesn't have to go through MIDI. So we're actually probably going to plan to add that one later as a sound chip option all the time on the system. So there's, no limit really to the amount of chips you could put in here. And it's really a software limitation whether or not you could play them all back at this point. So.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, big fan. The wavetable MIDI functionality, would that be available in BASIC?
I mean, theoretically, because really what it is it's a serial port, and you're sending data to a serial port, which is effectively going over the MIDI port. So it's not like an intelligent mode MPU. It's more you're going to have to drive the traffic to it. So in a sense, yes. In fact, I've got a ton of test software that I've written in BASIC just to test the card that I could probably adapt it pretty easily just to have it send data to the keyboard, timing it and tracking it and all that.
We don't really currently have any sort of direct supported commands in BASIC to operate it, but you could always create like a wedge or something like that that could be used in other programs.
It'd be a lot of poking to do that.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, I guess that's all the questions we had then. That's fine. I will point out we have actually one Commander available, which we didn't bring. Somebody else brought it.
Yeah, it's one that a guy bought like about a year ago, and he came to me and he's like, I haven't used this ever. I have 10,000 too many projects. Can you mind putting this out here and seeing if anybody wants it? So if you want it, we do have one.
Yeah, because we're out of stock. We are getting some more built, which we'll have in a month or so. We've already sold like 1,100 and some odd of these already, and we're out of stock, and but we are getting more made, so there seems to be quite a bit of momentum behind the project. Lots of software developers working on all kinds of cool stuff, and
we have pre-orders open on TechSelect for the next batch, and I think there's about 60 of the 250 that I was planning to run spoken for. We haven't actually made any official announcement about it, I don't think. I just kind of put it out there a few months ago and just have been trickling in, but probably in your next video you're going to make an announcement that they're out there. So you might want to hop in now if you want one before the announcement hits, because they tend to start piling up pretty quickly.
Alrighty. I guess we'll call it good.
All right. Thanks, you
everyone
guys.
for coming.